everyone. Hello, hello. Welcome to Tuesdays with Tina. Today, we're going to be talking about anesthetic solutions and they're not necessarily their properties, but their durations. And I just had a whole bunch there it is. The little vials that you get that you put into your syringe and you're like, oh yes, I need to select my anesthetic solution. I had a longtime listener reach out and ask about anesthetic solutions and which ones to select based off of their procedures. And I'm not going to go into that in great detail, but I thought I would use this as an opportunity to share a little bit about that. So happy to be back. Last week I was on vacation. I had a family trip. We went to Puerto Vallarta. It was very sunny. It was very hot. It was very humid. And I came back home to Oregon, where it's very, very hot. Today we are experiencing 106-degree weather here in the valley, which is very, very, very unusual for where I live. So it's been pretty amazing. And I turned my air down while I'm doing this live because for some reason I think it just is too much stress of all the different things that are on internet and all that kind of stuff, because right, that's how everything works off of the internet anymore. So I hope you guys are doing well. I'm happy to be here. Today has been yesterday and today I've been getting back into the swing of things after being off on vacation for a while, and lots of emails, responses, lots of responses to students who are signed up for my certification courses, getting things all prepped for RDH Under One Roof next weekend. I'll be in Denver at the RDH Under One Roof event. So if you're going to be there, come say hi. I will be around at some of the different booths, whether it's Dental Post or Safco or Septidon or the Synapse. So any number of those places, you'll see me wandering around. So make sure you come in, and if you see me, come say hi. And I would just love to meet you in person if we haven't already. So anesthetic solutions and which anesthetic solution to pick for your procedure. You know, that's always kind of an interesting question mark, because there's so many of them that are out there and available, right? You have a lot of options, and there's a lot of things we need to consider, right, when we're doing our anesthetic solutions. By the way, hello Facebook, hello Instagram, and remember, any of these videos you can watch on YouTube, the Teacher Tina RDH YouTube channel. So when we're selecting our anesthetic solutions, there's a couple of things we have to remember. First off, you have to be thinking about your patient and what their health history dictates that you can have. So make sure you do a thorough health history review, understand what medications they are on, understand their ASA status. Their American Society of Anesthesiology creates an ASA status to identify how well a patient can tolerate anesthesia, whether it's general anesthesia, local anesthesia. But that's the entire purpose of the ASA classification. So make sure that you evaluate all of that information, take their vital signs, blood pressure, pulse, respiration, so you can identify that. And by the way, friends, take your patient's blood pressure, even if you're not doing anesthetics, because that is part of being a primary healthcare provider. Yes, we're not in the business of diagnosing blood pressure issues, but we are in the business of advocating for our patients. So I will leave that there. Now, I would probably guess, right? Raise your hand if you're watching this on the recording. You can say me. If you're watching this live, give me a thumbs up. I would guess almost everybody in their dental office will have 2% lidocaine with 1 to 100,000 epinephrine. That's kind of almost the generic gold standard anesthetic that everybody has in their drawer, right? So if you probably have that in your setup. But I will say it's really important to have a few other anesthetic items on hand. And there's a lot of different reasons for that. So yes, 2% lidocaine, 1 to 100, that is our standard. Basically, we measure everything by that solution as well. Like if we're talking about if its potency, its longevity, it's all based off of that particular anesthetic. But we have to think about, like, what are we doing with that procedure? If we're using 2% lidocaine, if we want pulpal anesthesia, you're good for about an hour. Okay, with that 2% lidocaine, 1 to 100. If your patient has the health history that they can have that, you're good for about an hour of good, strong pulpal anesthesia. Your soft tissue anesthesia, maybe 2 plus to 3 hours, okay? 2 to 3 hours. Now, on the other side of that spectrum, if we're talking about anesthetics with vasoconstrictor, you're going to have the one that's like, I consider like the bazooka, the big pappy of our anesthetics, and that's going to be the Marcaine. Many people know it as that trade name, but its generic name is bupivacaine, right? That's going to be the one that's kind of in the little blue stripe on there. That's that 0.5% bupivacaine. Many people know it as Arcaine. Now that one, you're going to get some really, really great pulpal anesthesia for quite a long time, anywhere from an hour and a half to 3 hours, really depending upon the patient, how quickly they metabolize. But on this one, like, you can get some really good soft tissue anesthesia for almost up to 13 hours, 10 to 13, depending upon which packaging inserts, which textbooks you read, you're going to have that kind of longevity. Now, oftentimes, this is going to be the first choice that we use for patients who are undergoing any kind of like oral surgery where we want to have long-term pain management. Someone who may be challenging to get numb, that this might be our choice that we would use for them, okay? But that one, you can get some pretty long-term anesthesia effects with that. Now, on the short end of that, you would have maybe like 4% prilocaine. Now that's going to be our plain anesthetic, great for our cardiac patients, right? Because it's no epinephrine in there and the 4% prilocaine plain. The thing is if you want good, strong pulpal anesthesia with that, you're only looking maybe 10, 15, 20 minutes of good pulpal anesthesia. So if it's a quick little procedure where you don't need to have long term, it's going to be great. For soft tissue therapy, so like if we're doing periotherapy, that's a pretty nice little option because you can get a good about hour and a half of soft tissue therapy, soft tissue anesthesia with it, which isn't too shabby, right? I mean, for, and for a hygienist, if we're only concerned about periotherapy and we're only worried about soft tissue, that's not a bad option to be thinking about, okay? Same thing with our 3% mepivacaine. If you are going to be using that, you're not going to get long-term pulpal anesthesia with just that 3% mepivacaine, but you will get some pretty long duration with the soft tissue. So just something to think about. Now I will say that, of course, as a hygienist and as a syringe slinging anesthesia lover, I would say that I do have a favorite anesthetic. I think it's I know it's probably kind of funny, but I do have a favorite anesthetic, and that is going to be Articaine. That's the generic name. The trade name is Septicaine, but I really love that 4% Articaine. I would have 4% Articaine with 1 to 200,000 in my drawer at all times. I think it's a wonderful option. The reason why with the 1 to 200,000 epi, great for our cardiac compromised patients, so you can still have your vasoconstrictor in there, and it works well for our cardiac compromised patients. The other thing is that the way that the duration, the effectiveness, and the metabolism of Articaine is very nice and kind and gentle to our patients as well. You can still get great pulpal anesthesia with that, anywhere from about an hour of pulpal anesthesia and a couple hours for your soft tissue. So I love it. Also, the nice thing about Articaine, also known as Septicaine, is that it works really well with penetrating through bone. So if we're doing palatal injections, you get some really great additional anesthesia with that. If you are in a state where you're only allowed to do infiltration and you have to do mandibular injections, using Articaine for your mandibular infiltration can be very helpful as well. So just food for thought on that thought process. All right. Okay, friends, that's just a little review of Anesthetic Solutions, their durations, and some things to be thinking about. Again, this came from someone who reached out to me and said, hey, can you answer this question for me? Now, I just have a question over here. Some hygienists don't feel safe giving a block with Septicaine. Absolutely, that is correct. There's some clinicians that thank you for asking that question over there, Instagram land, over there with Miss Alma Picciotto. I will figure out how to say your name. Yes, that is correct. There are some clinicians, hygienists, dentists, dental therapists, who don't necessarily feel comfortable using Articaine, Septicaine, doing blocks. I can totally understand that because when it first came out, it was the new kid on the block in regards to anesthetics. There was some, this research that came out that like startled people. But when we looked at the research in actuality, you can see that it is comparable to 4% prilocaine, not very much different than even lidocaine. The other thing that makes me feel good about it is that medicine has adopted Septicaine and is using Septicaine for their day surgeries. Yes, friends, that's right. They are choosing to use articaine. They are choosing to use articaine, the 4% articaine, for day surgeries, especially for people undergoing knee surgeries. So that is something that, you know, it's like, okay, there we go. We can go ahead and feel better about that. The other thing that we have to think about is if there's concern about paresthesia with it, we would probably see that on more than just a mandibular nerve. We would see that in all the injections that we give. So, yes, wonderful. And so, yes, and I think that no matter what, whether or not you love using it, whether or not you are one who's on the fence with it, with every single medication, with every single product, whether it is toothpaste, prophy paste, anesthetics, fluoride varnish, whatever it is, make sure you do your research on your own and make sure that you as the clinician can feel safe and confident in providing that to your patient. Okay, so, you know, I will, you know, you can take my word for it. I would love it, sure. But just know I've done the research, but I encourage you on anything that you come across, do your own research and see what you come up with. And if you find something different than maybe what I have said, feel free to share it with me because, you know, I try to strive to be based off of research. And until I learn different, I will do what I'm doing. And I used to be one of those people. I was like, oh gosh, no, we can't use articaine, we can't use Septicaine on a mandibular block. I used to be one of those people until I heard somebody talk about it. Then I went through and looked up at the research myself. So yes, great question. Thank you very much. All right, friends. So next weekend I will be at RDH Under One Roof in Denver. Hope to see you there. The weekend after that, I will be at ADHA doing a hands-on interactive workshop at ADHA. And then a couple of weeks after that, you'll see me with Today's RDH doing some anesthesia CE courses with Today's RDH. So it's a busy summer, and within all of that, I will also be flying out to Georgia, doing some certification courses there as well. So I appreciate you guys for being here, for showing up and asking your questions, because that's what makes these Tuesdays session a lot of fun. I want to remind you to go to the Teacher Tina RDH YouTube channel and subscribe. I go ahead and put these Tuesdays with Tina videos up there as well. Plus, I am putting up some other videos on there as well, some anesthesia techniques. And my goal is to have my book, if not finished all the way, practically done this week, so I can have it all ready to go for y'all soon. And for those of you who replied to the comment of ebook versus hard copy, thank you. Send me a message. Are you want ebook version, hard copy version of my anesthesia guidebook? And I will have videos for you as well. Okay, all right. I'm really excited. So help me join me in celebrating. I'm getting closer. I'm getting excited about it. So thank you, friends, and I will see you next Tuesday. Okay, cheers. Bye.